Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to our valued customers and partners, and I welcome you here today. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Cameron Stewart-Nan, and I'm the General Manager of A2K Technologies and Cloud A2K. I'm also the host for this very special announcement today. To get kick-started, there will be a presentation from our guest speaker, Ryan Kolker, who is world-renowned for his work in climate mitigation strategies specific to as-built environments, and who will be sharing some recent insights. We are also excited to share with you a very, very special announcement about the future of our business. This announcement will be made by our Global CEO, Paul Laycock. So without further ado, let's get started. Over to you, Ryan.
Great. Thanks so much, Cameron and Paul, for giving me the opportunity to join you to share my perspectives on where the buildings industry sits today and the journey ahead to achieve a safe, sustainable, and resilient tomorrow. There's no doubt an exciting time to be involved in the buildings industry. We're central to addressing many of the challenges before us, including the affordability and availability of housing, reducing impacts on climate, protecting people and property from disasters, navigating the COVID pandemic, and addressing social inequities. Go to the next slide. While we all recognize the central role that the built environment plays in societies and economies, the average person takes our work for granted. When buildings and infrastructure work well, we rarely hear about it. It's when we fail to meet societal needs that we are placed under a microscope. Whether it is a building that failed to perform well in the face of high wind or fire, a bridge collapse due to lack of maintenance, or when a building uses significant energy, that is when we get noticed. It is up to us as the shepherds of the built environment to take our role seriously and assure that communities can continue to survive and thrive for generations to come. Next slide. Without buildings, communities and individuals will falter. Buildings are our shelter against the storm, where we live and raise families, the homes to our governments and institutions, drivers of economies and businesses, symbols of our ideals, culture, and history, and the facilitators of learning and healing. You can go to the next slide. Construction helps drive the global economy with about $10 trillion of goods and services delivered every year. That's over 12% of the global GDP. For many individuals, the largest purchase they will ever make is on housing. Communities rely on fire and police stations, hospitals, and schools to deliver much needed services. And corporations require buildings to manufacture goods and provide services. Approximately 255 billion square meters, or 2.75 trillion square feet of buildings currently exist worldwide, with the addition of roughly 5.5 billion square meters, or 59.2 billion square feet added every year, equivalent to a city the size of Paris every week. Next slide. Cities are becoming the location of choice for large segments of the population. The United Nations predicts that by 2050, over 2/3 of the global population will live in urban areas, as compared to about 55% of the population being urban in 2018. Cities are attractive due to their proximity to jobs and the wealth of services they provide. However, maintaining those benefits with increased populations will be a challenge. How do we assure that there is sufficient housing and that it is affordable and that infrastructure is right-sized to meet growing demands? How do we live with nature, avoiding disruptions of ecosystems while leveraging the elegant solutions to urban heat islands and stormwater management nature has shown us? How do we assure that rural communities maintain their character and that they are not burdened with infrastructure that no longer fits their needs? Next slide. At the same time, the building industry is looked to for solutions. We are operating with increasingly constrained resources, whether it's the availability of a skilled construction workforce, rising material costs, and limited access to capital, the pressures of climate change, the availability of raw materials, or more recently, supply chain challenges. the industry is being asked to do more with less. Next slide. Built environment is being tasked with meeting multiple performance requirements set by governments and clients. Buildings must be sustainable, accessible, resilient to hazards, support the productivity of occupants, facilitate the functions housed within them, be aesthetically pleasing while maintaining any historic characteristics, all while being cost effective. Next slide. So how do we assure that the built environment meets the changing needs of our communities and clients today and into the future? We need a deliberate and holistic strategy that allows us to optimize the performance of the built environment while meeting society's needs and reducing our impacts. We need the tools and techniques to support a holistic approach, bringing together expertise from across the sector, strategies and tools that support our vision, including technologies like off-site construction and integrated digital tools that address the entire life cycle of buildings, access to high-performing materials and components, and the ability to engage our clients and get them bought into our vision of the future. Next slide. Now let's dive a bit deeper into the actual challenges and opportunities before us. According to the Global Alliance for Buildings and Construction, in 2020, the global building sector was responsible for 36% of energy consumption and 37% of global energy-related greenhouse gas emissions. Achieving the target of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius must include a focus on the building sector. In fact, energy efficiency improvements in buildings is the second most cited mitigation strategy in nationally determined contributions under the Paris Agreement, only behind renewable energy. Go to the next slide. Challenge before us is how to improve buildings to meet these energy efficiency and greenhouse gas emission goals. Achieving these goals will require a strategy focused on both reducing energy use and generating more energy from renewable sources. Building energy codes like the International Energy Conservation Code are a key part of the solution, with each edition providing continued improvements for new construction and major renovations. However, only about half of the parties to the Paris Agreement have mandatory or voluntary energy codes at the national or subnational level. The deployment of renewable energy is expanding to help meet energy needs that can't be reduced through efficiency. Between energy efficiency improvements and on-site renewable generation, we are seeing the expansion of zero and near zero energy buildings. Now increased attention is being paid to the embodied energy of buildings based on materials and the construction process used. New standards will help us look across the lifetime of a building to truly understand its impact and support tracking over time. We also need a deliberate, multi-pronged strategy to address the buildings we have today. Without addressing the existing building stock, there's no hope of meeting our energy and climate goals. Next slide. Recognizing that buildings function at the intersection of multiple infrastructure systems, there are opportunities to support advancements in transportation by supporting the widespread adoption of electric vehicles through a robust network of charging stations. We can help enhance the performance of the energy grid through buildings that are responsive to signals from utilities on when and how energy can be used effectively, and how renewable energy coupled with energy storage can enhance resilience of individual buildings and the grid as a whole. The next slide. While we can help control the impacts of buildings on climate change, at the same time, buildings and infrastructure play an important role in protecting us from the impacts of disasters. Climate change and decisions on where and how we build are leading to dramatic increases in disaster impacts. Globally, from 1980 to 2019, there are 11,560 major disaster events affecting over 7 billion people and claiming nearly 2.5 million lives and causing $4.6 trillion in damage. Approximately 2/3 of these events have occurred from 2000 to 2019. Next slide. Captured another way, over time, the number of disasters have increased, bringing with them an increased financial and social impacts on government and communities. And these disasters tend to impact the most vulnerable the hardest. Low and moderate income households often live in the riskiest areas because land and housing costs are cheaper. They also tend to live in lower quality, older housing. Finally, they frequently don't have the resources to invest in upgrades or to engage with policymakers to drive change. Fortunately, there are strategies to help curb the rise in disaster events. Effective land use planning can help assure that the riskiest sites are left to nature. Building codes can assure individual structures are designed and built to withstand the hazards a community may face. Comprehensive resilience and mitigation planning, including continuous benchmarking, can inform the investments communities make. Again, making the existing building stock more resilient will be essential to reversing this trend. Next slide. And these disasters are not limited by geography. Between 2000 and 2019, there were 3,000 disaster events in Asia, followed by over 1,700 events in the Americas and nearly 1,200 events in Africa. Each of these events impacts lives and livelihoods and puts pressure on governments and disaster aid organizations. Next slide. It is clear that our vulnerabilities and risks are changing. Disasters like tornadoes and wildfires or bushfires are occurring outside of what is traditionally their seasons. Heat or cold events are becoming longer and more intense. Hurricanes and cyclones are spending more time over land, dumping increased rain. Buildings and infrastructure will face very different risks into the future than they have faced in the past. Building codes and the design process must adapt to assure that buildings continue to provide the protection that society demands. The International Code Council has been working with building code development and research organizations from Canada, Australia, and New Zealand to identify paths for the incorporation of future-focused climate risk into our codes and design processes, with an international resilience guideline available later this year. Bringing together climate science and building science to understand how climate will impact the built environment is essential. Designing in adaptability will be key to addressing long-term uncertainty. Go to the next slide. Clearly, buildings are at the core of delivering resilient communities and supporting economies, but they also significantly impact our environment through the energy and materials they use. Building codes are at the core of delivering a climate resilient future, but we need additional tools and technologies like BIM and offsite construction to help us realize these goals. It will truly take the buy-in of all of us: architects, engineers, planners, contractors, manufacturers, developers, building owners, regulators, and policymakers to realize a climate resilient future. Next slide. We need to recognize why buildings and infrastructure exist. To meet the needs of people. People make up communities. Communities that rely on social, organizational, and infrastructural systems to deliver much needed services every day, but also prepare communities for the inevitable shocks and stresses they will face. The Alliance for National and Community Resilience has recognized 19 such functions and is developing a holistic set of benchmarks based on those functions. We are pleased to have your support in Anchor's vision for resilient communities. Go to the next slide. Future is dependent on the decisions we make today. It is our responsibility as the designers, builders, and regulators of our communities to help realize a safe, sustainable, and resilient future. Next slide. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share how I see the needs and opportunities for advancement in the built environment.
Thank you, Ryan. That was incredibly informative and incredibly relevant to our primary markets of the AEC and manufacturing sectors, especially in construction. So if you don't mind, just got a couple of questions off the back of your presentation. Look, we talked about high performance buildings, and that's something very, very relevant at the moment, especially here across ANZ. And you mentioned some strategies to mitigate risk and to drive performance and sustainability. What in your mind would be the top three strategies that we can employ to drive building performance in the current era?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. I mean, certainly looking at opportunities for integrated teams on buildings, throughout the entire process. And, really on top of that is really having the tools to facilitate that integration. So, things like building information modeling is one of those key facilitators to, allowing that integrated process. I think another area to really look at is offsite construction. Really provides an opportunity to address some of the challenges that the industry is facing. Whether that's the availability of housing, looking at the construction workforce and sort of the long-term availability of workers, addressing sustainability challenges as well. In a factory type setting, you have opportunities to use materials more efficiently. And then I think sort of another area is around operations and maintenance of buildings and infrastructure. We spend a lot of time sort of focused on the design process, but not enough in assuring that what we do build actually is maintained and continues to deliver the performance that we expect out of it.
Thank you, Ryan, and absolutely. Look, off the back of that, a hot topic in our markets is around data, and consolidation of data and using big data to drive efficiencies and to drive sustainability to make real-time decisions. So in your mind, if we think about efficient processes and technologies to drive data requirements, how do you see that improving sustainability across the design sector?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the sort of key mantras, particularly in the energy and efficiency and sustainability space, is sort of what gets measured gets managed. And so being able to have sort of real-time access to information and data on how buildings are performing will be key to really doing that maintenance and operations and really learning for future buildings. And so really looking at opportunities. Not just at an individual building level, but also thinking about a portfolio level or even a community-wide level. When we start talking about things like zero energy buildings, the most effective strategy is looking at how we can deliver sort of net zero across portfolios or across communities. And so, thinking about sort of the ability to trade off energy efficiency and renewable generation sort of across multiple buildings and instead of trying to get sort of every single building as zero energy building.
Smart cities. That's
exactly
the goal. That's the goal. Absolutely, Ryan. Look, again, thank you so much for your insights today. Incredibly valuable. And for all of those attending today's presentation, stay tuned for our Think community moving forward, which we'll discuss at the end of the presentation. And hopefully we will have more of Ryan's insights throughout the year. So Ryan, thank you very, very much for today. And we look forward to working alongside the ANCR and hearing from you again very, very soon. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Well, now we've got a very special announcement from our global CEO, Paul Laycock. But before we launch into that announcement, stay tuned for a short video.
For some time now, we've been working together under a global alliance agreement between A2K Technologies for APAC, US CAD for the Americas, CADline across the UK and Europe, and Capricot throughout India. Today, we are excited to announce the formalisation of this brand partnership as VinZero. Together, our brands are now represented globally as VinZero, VinZero APAC, VinZero the Americas, VinZero EMEA, VinZero India, and with more regions joining as we speak. The formalisation and formation of VinZero will enable us to work even better as a group, delivering best-of-breed outcomes for our customers, both locally and globally, and with great scale. The VinZero name stems from the Italian word Vinzero. Translating in Italian, this represents to be victorious. As VinZero, we are passionate about helping our customers succeed, not only their digital journey, but also now succeed when it comes to their own net zero journey. We know it's not going to be an easy road for industry, so VinZero has a focus on bringing together knowledge and advice from around the world. We'll be utilising our own internal industry experts as well as engaging external sustainability leaders to deliver a thought leadership framework that can lead our customers and partners on their own digital pathway to net zero. Our increased capacity in the future to develop and deliver Vinzero IP will enhance our onboarding for integration and implementation, making it easier for AEC and the manufacturing industries to onboard modern technologies and driving increased adoption. We believe the increased adoption across construction and manufacturing of digitalisation represents one of the biggest opportunities for net zero journey in the built environment. And we know if we can make that a smooth journey for our customers by simplifying their pathway to digitalisation, we can help them achieve their own digital and net zero goals in the future. And they can do so without business and project interruption. Our industry experts, solution pioneers, bring a depth of experience to the market that will enable customers to connect with the data that matters most in a project, to establish workflow practices, enable rapid decision making in project, and to maximise efficiency and profitability of their projects throughout the entire project lifecycle. Adoption of digitalisation will be the key driver for rapid transformation and for maintaining competitive advantage across AEC and manufacturing. This adoption is where we will see the biggest wins for reducing carbon emissions. Digitalisation is the fastest way for us to achieve more, use less, and there's a real drive across industry now for all of us to play our part. As Vinzero, we believe our solutions and our approach enable customers to design and build for the future. It's ultimately up to us, and it's time we band together around the world to think future. Well, good morning, everybody, and I'm very, very pleased to be joining you from the Swan Valley over in Western Australia, of all places. But you've got to love this digital world. Firstly, I just want to thank Cameron and Ryan and the team behind it's been able to put all this together for today. And I'm certainly looking forward to working closely with Ryan and other people in that industry, or with insights into that industry, to drive us in our journey forward. Firstly, what's really important to me, this journey that we've taken, and it's taken quite a long time. If you look at the whole journey, I've been in this industry something like 27 or 28 years. But this journey has been enabled by our customers, our suppliers, our vendors, and of course our staff. But we've had such a tremendous support of our customers over this whole time, loyalty. We've joined together, we've tackled industry issues together. We've tackled all sorts of challenges and disasters, as we saw some of the data that come through from Ryan. But it's because our relationship with customers and their customers' relationship with us that's enabled us to do and have such a great growth over this time. So it's certainly been very, very exciting to bring all this together and start to look at ways we can bring different parts of different industries together to focus on, I guess, the new inputs of our design and what that can lead to, and how we can do these things to begin to make a difference to how the world's going to look in the future. And there's a path then, there's a journey there for all of us. And by no means am I sitting here saying that us as a business have all this, done and ticked off. We're beginning this journey as well. And I know some of our clients are beginning this journey, and everyone's at different levels through the journey. But we're making the commitment, and we're building those, we're making those goals and the objectives, and we're going to do that. And we're going to drive forward to make sure that we achieve those things. So, and I guess this is why just bringing all these people together and having a community that can think future is just going to help everybody understand a little bit more about it. And if each day we just take one little step forward, then we're going to progress and make a massive change, especially across the construction and the manufacturing industry. So we just jump on to the next slide. So, as when I talked in this, in my video, we know this isn't easy, and I know it's going to be a challenge for us in what we do in our businesses, and you folk that are doing the design and the engineering and everything behind us, it's not going to be easy. Nor is it going to be easy for what we do in our own office space. always not going to be easy what we're doing, even our home space and how we handle our everyday life. But we all have to start to work together and look at the best ways to do it, look at scalable solutions that are just going to minimize our disruption to your business and to everything else that we're doing on a day-to-day basis. So to me, if we're going to make a difference to the world and we're going to build a net zero approach, it's not about being completely disruptive. It's not about changing everything we do today. It's just taking little bites, little steps, and making change over time. But we just know some little things and little steps can make a massive difference when we look at it down the track. I really love the wording in VinZero where it's saying to be victorious. And I think if you don't start off on a journey and you don't have the focus on this, then you're always going to struggle to achieve those goals. And I love that word. I love to be victorious. It's not about winning. It's not about being number one. It's about winning. It's about winning something you want to achieve and getting victory out of that. What we do. And I love the zero because it means we're zeroing in on our goals and targets and what we want to do. And if you look at when you see the logo, you look at the symbol above the eye, which is a symbol there that we put together to show our commitment to the environment and where we want to go in those regards. So it's very, very exciting to bring these things together and incredibly exciting to bring such a global business together. Over 550 people within our team, making us the largest team in the design, in the supply of software into the design industry throughout the world. So 550 people, and we're bringing in IP. We're looking at how to combine all these areas that we worked on around the world to make us a bigger, better, and stronger company. But more importantly, and the real importance of all this is providing service and support as we've always done, but now being able to do it on a global scale, utilizing different resources around the world to bring in different types of expertise, driving towards 24 hours, 7 days a week support and backing our customers. So we're going to be the strongest support and the strongest backing for you as you go down the path of new technologies, new implement technologies. We need to stand beside you and help you be very, very successful. So I really just want to thank you all again. And I'm not really good at following scripts and things like you might have just seen, trying to follow through those slides. But it's an emotional day. It's an emotional day for me. It's an emotional day for all of us around the world. The founders, when you add all this up, there's over 100 years combined in bringing this business together across the world. And we have a fantastic team now based out of the UK, fantastic team, obviously, throughout the US and Europe. And we've got a tremendous team in India. And when you combine all these different things we're learning and our approaches from learning these things, it's really going to drive us to be a far better and a far greater support for our customers. And to go from a couple of people working out of a garage, 27 years ago to where we are today is just a tremendous achievement by all of our people. And again, I just can't say this enough. It's our clients that have supported us and given us their loyalty. And we owe you as much support and loyalty we can give back. And my promise and my commitment is, as we drive through these changes, we'll do everything we can to help our clients. There's no dramatic changes, except for we're just going to be doing things bigger and better and more information, more data. We just want to make things easy. Just want to make it easier. And one of the things our customers always comment to us is we're easy to do business with. And that's a really good feedback. Not easy. It's not easy as we get through more complexities around licensing and more, I guess, in-depth technologies, but we just do our best. And again, I'm not sitting here saying we do it all right, but hand on heart, we do our best, we try, and we care. And those values which we're bringing into VinZero across the world is very, very important. And just one of the last things I want to finish off in thanking everybody. When we went out on the journey to find and invest in the companies that we're going to bring together, it was really important that we had companies that had the same cultural aspects as in their people and how they work with their clients, and They were companies that clients really like doing business with them. So a bit different to a lot of other organisations that try to grow and they go and get smaller, or they go get other businesses that maybe haven't been as successful and then join that together and then try to change the direction of our business. We've been very, very fortunate to go out and select the best and bring the best together. And then by sharing those best practices across the world, we're really going to move fast, be able to make a difference. So also just want to take this chance to thank the people from those other companies. I've been on their boards for a couple of years, but the progress we've made and the difference they've made throughout all these challenges we have been fantastic. So I just want to again just thank all my staff, all the support people, and all our customers, and some of those have had a relationship for a long time. So thank you very much, and I'll hand you back to Cameron.
Thank you, Paul. Incredibly exciting times, and I think we would all agree that bringing together the best in class Autodesk partners from around the world can bring nothing but good things for our customers, and that's why we're here. And I think what underpins that is the concept of partnership. And before we move forward, certainly for us, partnership is what drives us every day, day in, day out. And having such a great ecosystem of businesses, of suppliers, of vendors and customers, we can partner with you on this drive to net zero and on this move to digitalization and the use of data across your businesses. So very, very exciting. It's going to be business as usual in the short term. And I know a lot of the customers out there listening today will be all about, how can we benefit from this locally? And please be rest assured that your account managers will be reaching out to you very, very soon to set up meetings and to have some conversations around, how can we deeper partner with you on your journey to digitalization over the coming months. So thank you, Paul. Let's move forward. Next slide. Okay, so certainly we've got some online branding that's going to be moving forward to VinZero. So over the next 24 hours, the VinZero site will go live. Please jump on, have a look. You're going to start to see the A2K VinZero co-branding on all of our social channels. I think it's sharp. I think it's relevant. And I think there's going to be some great content in there for you to have a look at to continue forward from today's discussion. Continue slide. Look, we're very excited about this Think community. We've been thinking about and listening to customers in relation to how can we add more value, beyond direct engagement. And we really want to create a global community to challenge status quo. And as Ryan said earlier, drive this net zero, drive this sustainability position in the built environment. We certainly encourage you to check out the VinZero website and also to join the Think Future conversation off that website. You can listen to our blogs, which will be launched at the end of April. You can read our newsletters, our case studies. You can watch our Think Future content and even create your own favorites through login topics that are relevant to you and your business. So certainly we're driving very hard down a content solution to make sure that you're getting the most relevant, the most up-to-date, and the most thought-provoking content around this very relevant concept of built environment, sustainability, and net zero. Next slide. So personally, I'd like to thank everyone today for attending. We will be sharing this announcement on all of our channels over the coming 24 hours, and I certainly look forward to sharing more content around VinZero in the coming months. This brings to a conclusion today's events. Thank you very, very much.